Looks like it might be working. Let's see. Hello on the live stream. Oh, it is working. All right. I think it's working. This is your Old Tube Radio Network. Listening in on 27085 megahertz in Central California. Coming up here in a moment on the roll call of the shortwave listeners, after which we will be talking with and listening for and taking transmissions from our old tube radio operators, our collectors who have the classic CB radios, typically Class D, made from 1959 to about 1978. That's what we call the old tube radio network. But before we do that, we'll be talking to and checking in the SWLs. So let me clear everything on the main page, and we'll be ready to go here in just a minute. In about 1 minute and 30 seconds, according to the Nixie tubes. There it is. My ergonomically incorrect table where I keep bumping into things. Capture top moments. Okay. Checking all the audio gear. Let me check if I can find the foot switch. Is the transmitter still working? Over.
Sounds good to me.
All right, this is the sounds good to me frequency. And I have to reset the audio stream, so those at the audio stream will be, if I can't see it anymore. All right, we are now on the SWL audio stream, and it archives. So reset your pages. And either turn up or down your specific audio controls. And then things will be good. Oh, my Nixies are over. Resetting the page. And we'll be ready to go. The Old Tube Radio Network. If you just want to listen to radios and you're watching this not live, you can scroll up about 45 minutes or so, and that will probably take you into the radio section here. And I have to reset my banner. Let's see if the SWLs are ready to go. You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
OTR 27.085 megahertz. We're going to have to ask those people to step a little bit closer to the microphone. Hello, everybody. It's 8:01 in Central California, the Old Tube Radio Network. Real radios glowing in the dark here at 27085. That's the frequency of choice, channel 11, where indeed you will be hearing the classic tube radios glowing in the dark after the roll call. The Old Tube Radio Network running a long time, 30 plus years, 35 years or so. We are here to promote the use and distribute information about CB radios, old tube radios, and basically just encourage people to, if not listen in, to maybe jump on the air and say hello, whether it's an SWL check-in or just saying hi to us or jumping in the Radio Shack and the old tube radio collection and keying up one or more than one radio. So that's what will be happening here on this frequency until about 10 o'clock tonight. My name is Dennis, the net controller for tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network. And let's start it right off with our current 00, which is Dave out in Sanger. And I've got you checked in. I've got to find you on the list. I'm checking you as 51, but it's actually 00 right now, and we'll get you at 51. Thanks, Dave. Okay, meters look good. SWL number 1 from the Cosmic check-in. The voice says, you know, you've been doing this long enough. It shouldn't be a problem. And it isn't, really. SWL2, Mr. OBP Kevin is hanging out somewhere over on the video link. If you click on the video link, you'll be able to chat with Mr. OBP, who says, I think we have one sunspot, right? We've got something facing our way that's creating a little bit of propagation here and there. Also, the AM rally is going on your local amateur radio frequencies, probably big iron stations on 40 meters and 75 meters tonight. So if you're really into the old-time AM, grab your SWL radios and in one ear, listen to the Old Tube Radio Network, and the other ear, listen to the AM rally for old school AM. Next, we have SWL3 giving Rob a check-in. How about SWL4? SWL5? I will give Ida a check-in. I saw Mama Rose just a few days ago, and she was looking very, very good and says hello. One of our long-time, very early net controllers, Mama Rose, looking well. She says hello to all the SWLs and old tube radio operators. Over to SWL6. SWL7.
SWL7 checking in.
All right, over in the air chair tonight, how is the atmospheric QRN over there tonight?
So far so good, but been having a lot of noise, so keeping fingers crossed.
Okay, across the board. Listening earlier to some stations booming in on 75 meters from Boston, but running big stuff. All right, you're sounding good here. We should have a good local hop for all our stations tonight. Never know if we'll get some E-skip or not. Thanks, Ed. Up over to SWL13, that's Mr. Cobra, and yes, indeed, you can check in on the Facebook page. I will eventually see that via email, and better yet, oldtuberadio.net. Leave a comment on the page if you can get in there, or on the video site, and we'll get you checked in. Regardless of whether you're on a paper or not, or checking a radio, just like everybody who is listening to wave a hand at us and tell us what radios they were running this week and things of that nature. We will, when I pay attention to the proper screens, be able to chat with you. Over to SWL 14. SWL 15. SWL 16. SWL 17. SWL 18. And getting Mikey, Mr. KDA checked in from his Facebook page, SWL 19. SWL 20.
Number 20 here. You know, it's interesting that as much as I've been working, I've made it back Saturday night, every single night, that I wasn't doing that once a month Turlock Modesto thing. Can't believe it. Number 20 here, please check myself in. 20 and 2954. I think it's 84 or so in the family, and just getting off the phone with 135. So if you do us all, do us there, Dennis, okay?
Okay, I will try to remember all those numbers, and if I fail to do so, chime in at any point and shake a finger and say, you know what, and we'll get everybody checked in. And hello to those who may not be radioactive on the transmit side, but perhaps are listening or watching into the old tube radio network. You're sounding good from the air chair. Just quickly, when you are away from the coiled microphonium, do you ever have a chance to tune in on some device? I imagine you're probably pretty busy, but I always look for something in that area checking in.
Well, when I'm here and not here in the room, I'm in the house kind of trying to listen on the internet thing, and then I've got the 2-meter radio, and I yell at Larry, and he kind of lets you know. But no, the job has been on the Saturday night that I'm gone. I generally actually finish about 9 or so up there, so I listen to you guys on the phone. But I still can't send messages, can't post anything, because somehow on my phone it posts under my wife's name, and that's scary for people that know that she passed away a couple of years ago. I did that once, and boy, did I get yelled at. So, anyway, can't do any messages on the phone yet. I got to get that fixed. But in the house, I can do it on the computer. That it posted under me. So there you go. But around 9 o'clock is when I finish, and I do listen when I'm up there. Okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for that, and hopefully you'll get a chance to check in some radios tonight when we get radioactive here in about half an hour after the roll call. Thanks for checking in, and glad to have you in the air chair here in Central California. Let me move up to the guy who was in the air chair earlier this evening. I think old radio night starts 8 o'clock, but it's that time and not this time. Mr. JT, who is it PETA, the people that come out and check to make sure that when Punxsutawney Phil is digging his way out to see if he's going to see his shadow or not, he's got his GPS going so that he doesn't run into the ground rod over there. What were you on tonight? I think you were on the Cobra. On old radio night today from the Wasama Swamp. SWL21 is checking in and waving a hand to all the SWLs. Thank you there, DD21. SWL22 from East Texas. Let me see who is in the audience tonight. Starting with Maryland, right here in the front row. Hello to California, San Francisco. I think we're coming up to you, Somerville, South Carolina. We've got Minnesota, Colorado, always listening in out there in Woodland Park or near it for some DX conditions. Hello to Centerville, coming to you. Florence, Kentucky, Dallas, Georgia, out there in Wasama. Fayetteville, Kakalaki is in. BC, the trio in BC, also waiting for some E-skip happening tonight, and up in Mariposa. So that's the list as we have it. 22 is not in. SWL 23, Mitch, doing the 23 Skidoo out in Silicon Valley, is waving a hand and saying hello radio here on page 1. Good to have you aboard. Let's see, who else have we got? SWL 24. SWL 25. There was a carrier, but there was no audio. I think that might be the ever-popular Sidekick. Over.
Roger, roger.
Okay, we have audio, we have liftoff, we have contact. Over.
I'm not sure what happened there. Anyway, I was just checking in, and with no traffic, by the way.
All right, this is the no traffic net, and as your German boss used to say, your radio is definitely working.
Thank you, Dennis.
Page 2, directed net roll call. Somebody might be monitoring the proper crossband frequency. Dwayne is one of those multi-banded type of operators. SWL 27. SWL 28. We've got a proxy check-in for Mr. Loner, SWL 29, SWL 30. Shortwave listener 31, Robert and Teresa in Hendersonville. Don't see Tennessee on the list yet tonight. Might have a big evening going on out there. That's okay. You can wander in any time to get checked in. SWL 32. SWL 33, myself, Bozo Control, the Jingle Singers, Mr. Announcer, the orchestra, et al. Studio A and Studio B here tonight. Checking in. Over to SWL 34. There's too many computer screens here. SWL 35. And Bill is checking in from windy Cheyenne, Wyoming tonight. Well, when it gets windy there is the temperature that things are, and then there's the temperature that things feel like. So hopefully it's not too awfully awful with the wind tonight, Bill. Anyway, thanks for jumping in and saying hello. SWL 36. SWL 37.
SWL 37 checking in.
37 is checking in. The radio sounds good, and so do you. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. I'm out listening.
SWL 38. Shortwave listener 39. SWL 40.
SWL 40 checking in from Chinatown. Here at 54.2 degrees.
And no wind chill to speak of. All right, you are sounding good. Thanks for the check-in. SWL 41. SWL 42. Shortwave listener 43. We will have the tube radios coming up after the roll call. SWL 44, Mr. Ray 360, Delta X-ray is present, and he's going to try the live thing. So let me stop talking and see if he's got the antennas pointed this way. Hello, Ray. All right, I do hear you. It is not strong, but that is because my antenna system is lacking for sure. But do hear you in there. Over. All right, thanks for checking in via every possible situation. SWL 45, hello, Paul. SWL 46. Shortwave listener 47.
Good evening, sir, from the Radio Lounge, SWL 47.
47 sounding good. I can tell you've got the OTR fired up. It sounds marvelous. We will talk to you a little later.
Thank you, sir.
SWL 48. Shortwave listener 49. Okay, from the mobile, just making it through my noise level, but thanks for being out there, sounding good also, and a 2-for-1 check-in. I like that. We don't hear enough YLs on checking in here, so appreciate that. Thanks, Brian. If you make it back to the base on time, give us a shout on the Big Iron. Thanks for checking in. SWL 50. SWL 51. That's the guy got us started off as 00, by the way. SWL 52. Shortwave listener 53.
Hello, Dennis. 53 checking in.
Checking in and checked in. Thank you, Bob. We've got you logged in for the first day of February 2020.
Thank you very much.
Over to page 3. Let me say hello to those who are joining us video side. Mark is waving a hand from Vancouver Island, where we could have some conditions. Boy, the VEs, the VE7s were really sounding good on the amateur band tonight. It is AM rally, a lot of AM stations, but always get up on 20 meters or 40 meters. Always hear the stations in your area quite well. DDX, of course, Warren Scott. You know, I'm not quite Warren. I'm not in quite in uniform tonight with the tie and the jacket, so Motormouth Mall can rest easy. Maybe he can actually watch this video and not worry about seeing his jacket. Midwest Sound. Hello, Toby is monitoring, listening in. Toby, who runs more than one Facebook page and always has. He always makes you think. That's what I like about Toby's posts. It's not just eye candy as well. It's like things that make you think and challenge your brain a little bit. I appreciate that. Smarty Jones in New York. We will be checking in the generic 63. I think is what everybody from the East Coast likes that check in. Hello to Big Rich. Is monitoring 6520. It's out there in Silicon Valley. From Iowa, KJG 4755 from KEO 8492. Hello, John. And X4000 on the Bozo bus tonight, getting checked in mobile from the Bozo bus. All right, let's go to page 3, SWL 54. And I do have a check-in for Mr. Board Jammer. SWL 55.
55 checking in. I noticed you're not wearing your jacket tonight, Dennis.
You know, I was going to, and then I was sort of doing some other things, and I thought I would just be a little bit more casual tonight. But that is, I've got the official SWL 33 shirt and the jacket and everything else. And when you're representing the classic era of radio, whether it's CB radio or broadcast or something, you should probably look the part. So I will do better next week. But this is casual Saturday here at the old Tube Radio. Maybe like the first of the month, the first check-in of the month. We'll go casual. You're sounding good as always. Thanks for the check-in.
You too.
SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis and the net. This is SWL 56, just for kicks.
And I don't know. I've been being nice. I don't need any kicks, but a kick in the right direction sometimes is very helpful. As always, a good signal into Midtown Fresno. Thanks, Phil. SWL 57, Brown Dog Audio, who's probably somewhere on sideband. I bet there's some conditions somewhere keeping Brown Dog out of the 11-meter side, at least on AM tonight. Over to SWL 58.
Good evening, everybody. SWL 58 checking in. Thank you for running the net, Dennis.
All right, thanks for being there. With that smooth audio out there in the Biola-Kerman connection here to Old Tube Radio tonight. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you, sir.
I should sound so good. SWL 59. And we'll see what radio the coax is connected to tonight. SWL 60.
Evening time to you, Dennis, and doggone it, the crew out there for sure. Kenny 800 says hello to everybody. I talked to him this evening there, and we talked a little bit about the Super Bowl coming up. And I think the fellas on the band are a little excited. But anyway, let's get old Jake's bass, the DX2527, checked in.
2527 base sounds good. Yeah, if people want to talk Super Bowl, we can do that. I will I will sit on the sidelines because I will just say stupid things because I don't know a lot about that. So I will learn as we go along. Thank you, Joe, on the DX2527.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Dennis. And get Kenny checked in.
Yes, and we'll get Ken checked in at the appropriate time. SWL 61. SWL 62. SWL 63. That'll be all our stations from near and far out, from New York and wherever, running the big iron tonight, Bubba and all the gang. SWL 64. SWL 65.
65 checking in.
SWL 65. Hello, Eric. Sounding good into Midtown Fresno tonight. And the old Tube Radio Network. Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
On the old Tube Radio Network, where in less than 20 or 15 minutes, we'll be hopefully talking to some of our collectors on their collectible radios. Those kinds that do glow in the dark. SWL 66. SWL 67. Get a check in for Bill. SWL 68. SWL 69. And if you are watching this at any point, Kenny, we got you checked in here. This is the net for February 1st, 2020, pre-Super Bowl. Over to SWL 70.
Hello, Dennis. 70 checking in. How copy?
You are 5 and 9, or as they say on, as they say on CW, you would be 5NN, but I don't think you have much of a tone. So you're 5 and 9.
Well, that's probably a good thing. I don't. We don't need the tone this evening. Thank you for checking me in. Thanks very much for doing what you do, man.
Okay. I suppose somebody could check in on CW. Just go slow enough. I'll throw in the BFO here or listen to and figure it out. I'm not good with numbers. Go slow on the numbers. Thanks, Mark. Over to SWL 71, Stan. Where is Mr. Announcer tonight? There he is. SWL 71 checking in. And I don't know what contest. There was something going on. It's definitely not winter WFD winter field day, but there is some AM stuff going on in bands as usual with the usual stuff out there in Dallas, Georgia. Mr. SHW, thanks, Stan. Who else have we got? SWL 72. SWL 73. SWL 74.
Yeah, it's not warm enough out here in the Radio Shack, so wait till summertime.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes 50,000 watts dissipates out the antenna, doesn't make it in the room. But I will look forward to that. We will get Miss Jilly checked in right now.
Thanks, Dennis.
SWL 75. Shortwave listener 77. SWL 78, Richard from Effort, Washington. Let me refresh the comments. I don't think he is in just yet, so we'll take a rain check on 78. SWL 79. Shortwave listener 80. Going to page 4. Let's say hello to Private Thor, saying hello to all of us here on the radio. We're listening in from Squamish BC. I say B3 because there is the 3, Albert, Peter, and Christian. One question, is it possible to co-phase 2 K30 antennas? I'm thinking if you do the co-phase kit or co-phase thing, which is what, 90 degrees out of phase, so it has to be fed correctly, you should be able to co-phase anything. But I'm not exactly sure the specifics on what your harness is supposed to do to get it to be 90 degrees out of phase. And then theoretically, I think there's a separation of what, a quarter wavelength or something, or a half wavelength that you want to do. I bet there's some info on the Universal Media NetWeb about that, because me's thinking that as long as you have antennas and you have the proper phasing harness and distance, that you are co-phased. Whether it will work any better or not, I don't know. And what the advantages are, that's another thing. What do you need to do, and is the advantage that you're doing going to be something that works for you? Hello to Butterbean Audio Radio from Northeast Georgia, Private Thor. I think I said hello. And Robert, Captain Robert, who is beaconing in from somewhere near Las Vegas, I think. Hello to you. Let's try page 4, SWL 81. SWL 82.
82 checking in for the ditch banks of Iowa. Ditch bank control, west side.
If you have a ditch bank, you definitely have to have a control. And you have plenty of experience there, Ron, so I'm glad you are at the controls tonight. Thanks for checking in.
All right, thanks, Dennis.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR. I know that voice. Go ahead, sir.
51 checking in, sorry I'm late.
All right, I was thinking maybe I'm kind of going fast tonight, so I thought maybe I skipped by you. But you are there, and I'll put you officially on the check-in list, and thanks for tuning in, the Saturday night place to be. Page 4 is where we are at. Directed net roll call. The old tube radio is coming up shortly, looking for SWL 84. And he mentioned, when he checked me in on the Wednesday night 10-meter net at 28,445 megahertz USB, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that he was still not, his radio still wasn't quite radioactive on 11 meters, but boy, he was sounding good on 10 meters, so I will get Jerry and the group checked in, because he just might be listening. Mr. Cheerios Kid. Let's go to Reedleytown for SWL 85. And then we will get the triple play for SWL 86, SWL 87, and SWL 88, the Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and Snowy Owl, which takes us to SWL 89, SWL 90, SWL 92, SWL 93, SWL 98.
Checking in, Dennis.
And still sounding good. Unlike me, you haven't broken a thing on your radio. Thanks for checking in. SWL 103. SWL 109. Shortwave listener 110. SWL 111. Listening in to see if we hear Reedley tonight. The band seems like it's in good shape. SWL 113. And SWL 114.
114 checking in.
114. Hello, Wayne. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you for the check-in.
And for the SWLs checking in, we keep the video up archived for a while, and we keep the audio up archived for a while. The video has the S meter, so if you ever want to, any of the SWLs, you ever want to give yourself a radio report, you want to say, what am I hitting you with? You can watch the video as you check in and hear yourself and see the S meter, and there it is for what it's worth. taking us to SWL 128. That is John Lee, who is out there, I do believe. Yes, a few moments ago. Fairfax, Virginia, I think, is the official place. I don't know what it shows up. I think it shows up with Centerville on the stream, but that's okay. You know where you are. You've got the GPS. A very strange winter. Monday and Tuesday next week will be in the 60s. Today was, I don't know what the high was today, 70. It was a great day to be outside. And then tomorrow and Monday, it's going to drop 20 degrees, and we are going to have probably the coldest temperatures at night that we have had all winter, after having the warmest temperature we have had all winter today. So yeah, you're getting whatever's coming through today here, it's coming your way. And then it may be followed by something very nasty. So your antenna weather window is coming, but it's not going to be very long there. 128, thanks for checking in. Over to SWL 131. SWL 133. And I did not hear, anybody hear Dave say, I have been having trouble hearing 133. Hello, Dave. Nothing heard. We have a proxy check-in for SWL 135. Who may be listening in somewhere? Hello, Cliff. And, let me pause. The Bob and Steve show. Pre-Super Bowl tonight, flying in Punxsutawney Phil and Buckeye Chuck. I don't know. I'm going to have to Google Buckeye Chuck. That sounds kind of dangerous. Or it sounds like a terrible Trader Joe's Walmart kind of wine or something. Buckeye Chuck, Punxsutawney Phil are coming out to meet the Jingle Singers. The Singers took them shopping and bought them 49ers gear for tomorrow. So I guess I know who I need to be rooting for, so I don't have bad things flying across the room here. They have to leave the green room early tonight to get them back for important morning items to see if Phil indeed sees his shadow. That's Punxsutawney Phil. That's not 56, by the way. Although if Phil sees his shadow, I'll have to talk to Grandpa and see what happens if he sees his shadow. 6 more weeks of winter and 30 more years of OTR. I think that's it. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. And if the Jingle Singers will sort of back away from the hole so you don't cast a shadow. Where did we go? Tube radio's coming up. SWL 137. Sounding good on the 10-meter net. Let's see if he's on for 11 here. SWL 145.
Hi, good evening, Dennis. It looks like you're ready for NASCAR to get started with your checker flag shirt there tonight. 145 checking in.
Yeah, it's the checkered shirt, or I think Mitch, 23, said that it was my check-in shirt. So maybe I should be checking. I could have each one of these little squares would represent, a check-in box, and I could just use one of those dry erase markers and check myself in. It looks like an old Steve Allen routine or something. I don't know. Sounding good, Tony, here on 11 meters. Thanks.
Thank you, Dennis.
Over to Kakalaki, SWL 147. Neil is in the house tonight. Weather cold but not freezing. Stand by, Neil. I think we're sending some, and it won't last very long, but we're sending some nice temperatures your way. He hasn't had the radio on much this week, but it's quiet when he has had it on. From the Carolina Sandhills, Dr. Jazz. Well, I hope you're able to do some jazz to keep you warm. That's what I've found. I'm trying to learn the fiddle. And I found when it's cold, when you start sawing away and making really horrible noise, you heat up really fast. So that's the thing to do. I lock myself away where nobody can hear me. You actually do well, so gather your audience and make that jazz. Thank you, Neil. Let's jump all the way up to SWL 195.
195, checking in.
From from beautiful Coarse Gold, where I bet it was indeed beautiful today. Thanks for checking in, Jim. And then over to SWL 226, who sometimes checks in at some form. So if you're out there listening, Jeff, give us a sign. Check in somewhere. Anybody that I missed or would like to jump in now before we switch over to the tube radios, which is the thing we do best here at the Old Tube Radio Network, listening for SWL check-ins or anybody?
45.
Hey, there's 45. I was zipping by pretty fast tonight, so I may have caught you in a different room, but you're sounding good now, Paul. Over.
My nap turned into a little bit longer than it was, so I kind of slept through it. Sorry about that. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, naps are a good thing. I have working shifts now where I don't have to take a nap, but I remember doing that, and same thing happening with OTR, where it's like, do I dare try and get a 45-minute nap in that will turn into a 90-minute nap, and people wonder where the heck net control is. Sounding good, sir. We'll be going to the radios here shortly, so we will be talking with you in just a moment. We're going to switch over to the tube radio, so I will be back in a bit. Hello to our new stations tuning in from Springfield, Missouri, Atlanta, Georgia, Shreveport, Louisiana, and all places far and near. This is the Old Tube Radio Network. We are in Central California, where it is 8:38 Pacific Standard Time. And in a few moments, we will be asking our tube radio collectors or anybody that just happens to be wandering through the frequency on one of those vintage classic tube radios from 1959 when the FCC banged the gavel and said, yes, there will be Class D, to about 1978 when the manufacturers said, let's go solid state and call it a night. But somewhere in between there, you will be hearing the radios as they probably sounded back then. And the way people conduct themselves, pretty much the way your CB radio would have sounded back then. Everybody having a great time. Back in a moment on your Old Tube Radio Network. And you are tuned to the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
The Old Tube Radio Network, the station for you, and maybe even you, if you are a fan of the classic
sound, the classic tube radios, this is the place to be on Saturday nights, the old Tube Radio Network, channel 11, 27085 from the Central Valley of California, and everywhere else, thanks to the Universal Media Net web at oldtuberadio.net, and hello to those watching on the YouTube video, live, or maybe Memorex. Hopefully you have been able to get on the air, whether it's on a vintage radio or not, in the past week, and have some fun on your 11-meter radio. A lot of people do have groups and get-togethers. This is one of them that we have been doing for the last, I'm going to say 35 years on Saturday evenings, thanks to our tube radio operators who take time out of their evenings to sneak away or jump into the Radio Shack and share their collection with us. So we'll be listening for those classic radios. OTR standing by.
45.
25.
And I will just say that this is not a club. There's no special handshake. We don't charge dues. You don't have to have any special numbers. If you ever find yourself in front of a classic tube radio and are within the sound of the old Tube Radio Net controller, we encourage you to stop by on Saturday and check it in. First-time check-ins welcome. Multiple check-ins welcomed. The old Tube Radio Network here for you and our SWLs to enjoy that classic sound. Paul, step up into the air chair. You will be Radio 1 tonight. Jerry, they're having a great time over in the green room. Join them, won't you? As I think you might be able to, if you get there soon enough, have your picture taken not only with the Jingle Singers and Mr. Announcer, but Punxsutawney Phil before they have to fly him back out, and Buckeye Chuck, whoever the heck that is. So we'll catch you for Radio 2. Hello, Paul. Over.
Hi, Jerry. Yeah, I'm glad I made it in. Anyway, I want to check in my General Radio Telephone MC7.
From General Radio Telephone. And this is a rare one for me, because I'm used to the 3s and the 4s and the 5s, and then of course you get into the super MC series. The 7 we don't hear too much, so let me first see if I indeed have a picture, which possibly might be from your collection. I'm not sure. You know what I'll do first? Let me bring up the full-page ad where they call it the new 24-channel two-way radio. And I think their 24th channel was the Civil Air Patrol. The 5 was not a 23-channel transmit radio. So this is something probably bigger and better for them. Give us another transmission as we go along, and we'll take a look at the ad.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, this is really a neat old radio. It hasn't got a whole lot of knobs on it or anything like that. It's just a plain radio. Very simple to operate. The only one that General made that didn't have a bunch of extra stuff on it. Anyway, it runs on all the different voltages, 6, 12, and then 115 volt VAC. And this is just the first one to come up with a crap type modulator. It kind of messed up the things with the microphone. You had to kind of use the one that General had, so you couldn't make it work. I never tried to make another one work on it. Never found any reason to do it. This thing's got enough swing as it is with just a standard mic. And I'm using just a stock carbon microphone on the thing. It's a General Radio Telephone microphone, made for the radio. Carbon mic. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
It sounds good. Does have that carbon mic sound. Not a lot of high frequencies in there, but it's got a lot of audio punch. And when we go back and show the S-meter, you'll see that it's actually got some good forward movement on the meter. Sold for $199.50, so $200. It wasn't bad for what was a full complement of all 23 channels, or the 24 channels, which was the 23 citizen band channels plus the Civil Air Patrol on what was called the turret tuner. We'll take a look at that. I think I've got a picture of that coming up. It had a dual conversion receiver, adjustable carrier level. Interesting. I wonder if that's something, that must be something in the back. I don't think I've got a shot of the rear of the radio, but the adjustable carrier level, I don't think was on the front. Built-in public address system, which was the bullhorn, which we replaced the Q-Bird. 100% modulation all the time. As you mentioned, with their new tube, they say, once again, General has produced a new and original design, which is destined to set the pace for the radio industry. The new MC7 is the first 24-channel unit offered to the citizen band public. Really? This unit is the result of 2 years of development and has proven to be the most efficient transceiver yet designed for citizen band use. Move into the professional category in citizen band communications. See the MC7 at your general dealers today. Remember when there were general dealers? When you can walk out and see those tube radios on display, and as they often say, you'll be glad you did. Back to you for a transmission. I'll get a picture of the radio here. Take a transmission, Paul. Over.
Yeah, I lost you just a little bit. I think I need to do a little work on this thing. It's probably dirty. It just cut out, the receive cut out. Transmit's still working, so we'll keep it in for a while, as long as it'll stay in. Yeah, I gotta do that to them once in a while. That's the trouble when you don't check them in enough, so you gotta run these radios. They like to be run. Anyway, this thing is the first one that came out with a turret tuner on the thing. The size of the crystal dropped in about half size when they put the thing in there, all into a little round tuner on the thing. Very neat when they operated. They stayed with this tuner until the last one they made on the 12. That's about all I got for it. Go ahead. If you heard me, which I show on the meter set talking, well, I probably won't be able to hear you, but if I can, I'll play this. Back to you, Dennis.
Okay, yeah, it might move that channel selector or flip the distance to local switch. There's a shot of down in the corner of the video or up on oldtuberadio.net, the 24-channel turret tuner, which is it's actually on the channel selector dial. It looks like they've got all the crystals soldered into this carousel device made of nylon, practically indestructible. Remember when they used to say your dishes would come out virtually spotless? Well, that's practically indestructible. Provides for instant insertion or removal of crystals. All right, well, maybe they're not soldered in. Channel numbers are cast into the surface to assure locating crystals in the correct positions. Very interesting. So I wonder if it didn't come with all 23 channels, and then it was up to you to supply the rest of them. I'm looking at their ad here to see if it says anything about the number of crystals that came in there. For $199, it probably did. General Radio Telephone Company, back in the day in West Burbank Boulevard, in the 213 area code, which is now a different area code, at 849-6891. Don't try to call that, boys and girls. Paul, are you still able to copy over?
Yeah, started working again. You fixed it again.
All right, I'm going to, let's see, we'll put in the picture of the radio. What I want to do is add the radio and the S meter. All right, and take a transmission. We'll check your S meter, and then I'm also going to see how that crystal, whatever is in the turret tuner that's practically indestructible, how close it is to 27085, and then we will let you run on your merry way. But thanks for Radio 1. Back to you for a transmission.
Okay. Yeah, I hope it should be pretty close, I believe. I remember checking. So that's the main thing. Hope you got enough time. Back to you.
Yeah, perfect. 85.6, so 600 cycles high. Sounds good. It's got good audio on the sidebands as well, and a nice-looking radio. Like I said, the front end isn't too cluttered, but it does look like it could do some impressive transmitting. And I think they said in the ad it's a 25-watt chassis. There's probably some secret thing that you're not supposed to do, or a wire you're not supposed to cross to get that 25-watt chassis to actually be 25-watt chassis instead of a 5-watt DC input. Thanks for starting us off with the MC7. We don't get to hear many of them, but there are quite a few on the west coast here since it was out of Burbank. Sounding good on the stock microphone. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for checking it in. It's still working. We got it fixed. But it won't be long. It needs a good cleaning. Thanks again, Dennis.
All right, thank you on the Old Tube Radio Network. And stepping around from the green room From your photo op there, Jerry, I hope you got to see Punxsutawney Phil and Two Buck Chuck or whoever that was. Tell us about your radio over.
First of all, the Jingle Singers are having a blast. The champagne is flowing, and the wine, open bar, beer, cold beer on ice. You know, what more could you ask for? Anyway, yeah, I'm going to follow Paul's suit here with the General Radio Telephone MC5 out of downtown Burbank, California. Back to you.
Very good. Let me go back. I neglected to mention, and I may not have this information, but I'm going to go back to the MC7 and quickly see if I have any info on dates and things when that came out. 1965. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Civil Air Patrol, 6-volt DC. Still 6-volt DC for 1965. This is the MC7. And with the turret tuner. Now we're going to go back 3 years to late 1962, 1963 for the radio on which you're transmitting the MC5, which was a very popular radio for general radio telephone. Let's add the radio and the S meter. Take a transmission, and we'll talk about the MC5. Over.
Okay, Dennis. In 1963, I think my parents bought a Buick Electra, what was it, 335? I think it was a 335 with the fence. Anyway, they were big Buick fans. My parents were. Yeah, anyway, checking in on the General Radio Telephone MC5. I think we have, 5-channel crystal controlled, and we have the VFO receive, and we have the local distance switch, but I always have it on, well, actually I have it on the distance. I don't know why I have it on the distance. Let me switch that. Might make my receive a little better. And then, that's about it. And talking on a Turner plus 3B microphone, and probably doesn't need the extra audio, but I got it turned way down. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
You've got it set up right. Don't touch anything on the audio. It sounds nice, and you actually fooled me. I can usually tell that radio, and I guess I was listening to the audio on the MC7. Had the sort of carbon mic sound, and when yours came in, it had a much brighter sound. And so I was thinking, well, he's not on the general radio telephone. So compared to the 7, it sounds good. It's a brighter with the microphone. We're showing, appropriately enough, we're showing the MC5 that's from the collection of Paul, who just checked in with his 7. But if I had the proper picture, you would see basically a ton of general radio telephones in one of his display areas at his QTH. So thanks to Paul, we've got pictures of just about anything that might or may check in from the General Radio Telephone Burbank collection. 1962-63. Yeah, it was. Your car was an electric 225. My very first girlfriend that I had when I came to Fresno, here to go to Fresno State, drove a 1962 Electra 225, which is this huge, as you know, it's this huge car. The trunk, it's a 4-door car, and it has that extra 5th window in the back that had its own electric window thing. And then the trunk on it is big enough where you could spread a blanket out and have a picnic on the back trunk. And if you're 5'2", you just barely peek over the steering wheel. All right, but and yes, that car would you could probably put a 3-piece Demco super satellite in there and still have plenty of room. Looking at the features, let me put a closer shot of the General Radio Telephone MC5. We can see the differences from the 7, that it has a 23-channel receiver that's tunable. It doesn't have the turret tuner before that. And where the bullhorn switch was for the PA system, there is the tone signal, this is the last radio that had that. Still has the look of the Master Control, the MC series with the brushed brass front, or whatever that is. It's kind of anodized aluminum, something, and the rack handles. So General Radio Telephone basically was peeking and tweaking on the insides, the audio, and the output, making things a little bit better, and then occasionally, getting into the 23-channel thing. Give us another transmission. We will, before you go, of course, give a demonstration of the tone signal, the Q-Bird, for those who might remember or those who do not know. Yours is a good example of that. And I hope I am somewhere near channel 11 on that tunable General Radio Telephone dial there. Over.
Oh, you're sounding good, Dennis. And boy, back in the day, those cars were made out of metal, not plastic. And yeah, you're right. They had all kinds of room, including the trunks. I mean, the back seats were actually, well, never mind about the back seats, but I will give you a demonstration of the tone alert of the MC5 here in just a second, but it's always fun to go back to the days and think about, the Dragon Main and stopping for the hamburger and going out to the movies with your girlfriend or whatever. And by the way, yeah, you could probably put a Browning Golden Eagle Mark III in one of those Buick 223s or any of the old cars. But nowadays, man, forget about it. So anyway, Dennis, I'm going to go ahead and give you a demonstration of the signal tone alert. And I'm going to transmit for a little bit while it's going. And then I'm going to quit transmit. Back to you, Dennis.
All right, put the S meter up to see that you're getting a full 100% modulation on the tone control there. And the MC5 advertisement does not tout the 25-watt possibilities of the input. This is your basic 5-watt DC input. And as Mitch says, 5-watt inputs, good for about 3, maybe 3.5 watts out. And that was typical. In fact, I think the FCC rules actually said that the output was supposed to be 4 watts. Your actual out the antenna was something around 4 watts. I think I've read that in some Part 95 or Part 15, so your 5-watt input. So I'm not exactly sure how they get FCC type accepted, like they say, if you've got 25-watt construction for a possible 16-watt out. But I'm sure you're getting every bit of whatever output it's supposed to have when you are modulating and having the tone alert going on as well. My information says it was one of the most advertised radios that General Radio Telephone did. If you have the old 1962 or 63 CB magazines, no doubt you are going to find a half-page ad, and that radio will be in one of them. Recently, one of those sold on eBay. Well, actually not so recently, about 2 years ago. No, about a year and a half ago for $198. So all of its 7 tubes must have worked great. There is a schematic available at oldtuberadio.com for those interested. And before you go, Jerry, if you aren't worn out from your photo op with the furry creature, give us another transmission. Thanks for bringing it by.
No problem, Dennis. And if Paul's listening, I think they made a sideband version of the MC5, and this is not a sidebander, but I think they made a version, or maybe it was a modification, but that they could actually have the MC5 as a sidebander. Maybe Paul has more info, or maybe you do. So anyway, thanks for checking the MC5, and Dennis, and back to you.
All right, here's a very lousy picture for those watching the video, if you're at oldtuberadio.net, of the MC5 sidebander, which looks a lot like the MC5 that Jerry is sitting in front of, with the addition that it says MC5 sidebander above the tunable receive, and there is a switch by the receive dial, it appears, that is not on your radio. The original price, $229.95 in 1963. So maybe they because they had an SB62, there was an SB, a sideband radio that they put out in 1963. So I have a feeling this is some hybrid or cross mix of that particular item, since it's about the same time, but certainly a little bit more in the price range. Probably had a couple more tubes for the product detector as well. Thanks for Radio 2, the old tube radio network, real radios glowing in the dark. Top of the hour. What did we do at the top of the hour? I'm trying to get their attention over there. Oh, we have the big fanfare. So let's do that, and then I'll stop talking so we can get some more radios in here on your old tube radio network.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by
The old tube radio network.
27085. My name is Dennis, net controller tonight, and we are looking for radio number 3.
37.
45.
And we might have 3 and even 4. Paul, head over to the green room. You will be radio number 4 after we chat with Chris, who has our radio number 3. Hello, Christopher.
Hello, Dennis. SWL 37 here. I'd like to check in this radio.
I am ready to do that. That is my function that I try to do here every week on the old tube radio network. My job is to check in as many radios as possible, and you're going to help me out with that, so go ahead.
I want to at least check this in before I jump in the rain like here, get sprinkled on. So anyway, Dennis, I want to check in my general radio telephone, my Super MC11A, 24-channel tube that goes in the dark, with the old man in the wheelchair up there, and there's IV hanging next to him, and we're running this here with the stock microphone over.
Stock audio. So we went from the MC7 with the stock carbon microphone to the MC5 with the amplified microphone, and then this radio that probably out of the bunch is obviously the loudest, but it still has a stock microphone. But General Radio Telephone in the years has worked their magic with the audio tubes and the output tubes to make things sound like this. Now, those listening in from afar at oldtuberadio.net or on the audio stream and the video stream are probably thinking, do these West Coast guys have anything besides General Radio telephones? Now, they were made in beautiful downtown Burbank here in Southern California. But yes, we do. We have other radios as well, but it seems like tonight, pre-Super Bowl, it's like the team comes out and kicks all the field goals and makes the touchdowns, and you have this big lead. So right now, the General Radio telephones have this big lead in the OTR Super Bowl, but you never know what might happen in the next hour. Go ahead with another transmission, Chris. Over.
I know Paul's got some more generals up there, so maybe you better start pulling some of them out and lining them up right there and flipping switches, so we can beat the Super Bowl tonight. Anyway, yeah, I wanted to get this in before I hit the rain locker, for I definitely got to take my shower, so I don't know if I'm going to make it back in time to check in another one, but I do got this one.
Hey, not a problem. You have provided us with some radio fare, and a good one as it is. A lot of people, you get a lot of good comments on the video playbacks with that Super MC11A, which is indeed stock audio. 9 tubes. Part of the help is from when General Radio Telephone figured out that they could put that ECLL 800 in the modulator output and a 12AX7 for the mic preamp and really get some great audio out of that, and just to peek and tweak on the radios that they had. More information if you got a Sam's CB22. Their Sam's 22 on page 45 has all the details on that. But what you need to know is right here. Give us another transmission before you head off down the hall there. We appreciate you taking, and we appreciate everybody who takes time out on their Saturday evenings to jump in and help us out with some radio check-ins on the Old Tube Radio Network. Go ahead.
Betcha. It's my honor to get in there and flap my gums here to make everybody know that generals do work good in California. They're California made.
Yes, indeed. All right, thanks, Chris. Radio 4 is stepping up. That's Paul. I want to also check in Like the vintage record. I just got a box of 78s. SWL 78. My uncle just gave me 2 huge boxes of, the 78 records that I haven't gone through and looked at exactly what's there, but it's definitely enough to probably do some type of a really cool vintage radio show, or maybe I'll bring one in. We'll have a song of the evening, although we can't really do that. Copyright, that's what I like about OTR. Everything is generated live, and it's not copyrighted material, we hope. So let me see, what else do I have? I was making some comments here. Oh, we've got a picture of Buckeye Chuck and the handler. Oh, Buckeye Chuck is okay. I'll get that picture up. I'll find that, and we'll set that story straight. Hello, Paul. I'm rambling here. Save me with radio number 4. Hello, 45. I hear you, but not very well. The audio is a bit low, so if you have the proverbial wiggle meters and lights or S meter or something that will indicate modulation, keep an eye on it and take another transmission over.
Okay, should be better right now. Got a bigger note on the front that eats the mic, so you know what that means. Back to you.
Yeah, that helped. You went from good carrier with no modulation to good carrier with enough modulation that myself and the SWLs will be able to hear what it is that you tell us. Go ahead, sir.
Did you get the realistic TRC-18?
That I did not get, so we will find, I think you said realistic. And I believe you said TRC. And give me the number again, over. Okay, I copied TRC-8 Delta, and indeed I have a picture, so let me see if there it is. Is that correct? That looks like something homebrew, over.
That's my radio. I'll tell you what, it's nothing on the front tells how to operate or anything. I've got to throw mark on the thing. But this made by Metrotech. The figure come out in 1963 by Metrotech. And then I figured by 1964, Radio Shack took it over. So somehow or another, I figured this was a Radio Shack one. And it's really started to work the same way. Back to you.
Wow. All right. It looks like something homebrew. And thanks, Mitch, for the info on the MC5. Can be configured with a sideband adapter, making it the first CB to offer the SSB mode in 63. You basically had to talk to somebody with another MC5 sidebander to do that. That's one for you, Paul. Do you have... I know you've got the SB72 sidebander for general radio telephone. Not sure if you've got an MC5, but let's talk about the realistic TR-8D by Metrotech. I'm looking at this. It almost looks like somebody lost the case and put it somewhere else. But definitely stay into that microphone. The audio is a bit weak. I don't know if you've got amplified microphoniums or not. And one of those unlabeled knobs is probably not a mic gain. And there's I see 2 lights. No, there's more lights. Is one of those lights a modulation indicator, over?
Okay. Well, what is it? It's a Shure desk mic. An old one. Say, you just got to gobble the thing and move out. It needs to be replaced. I probably should put an amplified mic on the thing. I'll show it. By the way, your archive looked beautiful last time. I'm looking forward to hearing this one about archive. But no, it's got a vehicle tuning selectors on the left-hand side up there. And it's got the little red light on the side of modulation. And you look down to the right of that selector, a vehicle selector on the receive. And as this was true, I got a vehicle and it's drifting like crazy. And has a very nice S-meter on the thing for 63, 64 views. That's really nice. It's on the right-hand side down there. Then on the bottom, there's off and on, switch on the bottom, and then it was forward, down there down the side. There's two crystal, and the crystal and the VFO on the bottom left-hand side. That's terrible. I don't have anything on here. I guess I'll have to get somebody to print it in for me. Back to you.
Yeah, there's a couple of switches on the bottom. Of course, nothing's labeled, whether you might have a spot switch or not, if you need one. The audio, definitely, you got to stay in that microphone. Your 50% modulation at best. But man, this is, let me go back to the main thing. This has got to be something super rare. TRC-8D. I had a TRC-23, which was the realistic Navajo. That was a solid state unit that came out in 1969 or 1970. So obviously this is before that. And let me go to the close-up. I wanted to look at that S-meter. It looks interesting. It's got different colors. Because you got yellow, red, and then the general thing. Maybe one of those switches it to RF or something. I don't know. It's a classic for sure. There is, I'll go to the S-meter cam as well. And it looks like you do have some movement on the audio, even though not much is there. So hats off to you for figuring out how to actually drive this thing. I think I would have been totally lost just looking at the front panel over.
Okay, I hear part of that not. But anyway, I want to clarify something all about the top lights. They're not functioning. I think somebody put those up there. If they're there. But I don't know. I opened this radio up. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. It's fine. It was. Luckily, I found the other one, like I say, on the Exotech, and then transferred all the numbers over to it in my mind. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Hey, it's working good enough to get a check-in, and hearing you just fine. You will hear it on the audio or video archives. You may have to turn it up a little bit. I jumped over to the sideband, found you at 27084.6, so the crystal is still working the way it should be. And that's another one for the books. You may probably have to put a post-it on there somewhere to tell you that it's a realistic TRC-8D. I wish I had some more information. I was looking at our archives for it. Oh, you know what? It is in SAMS. It's in CB6. Founded with Metrotech. Okay. And like you said, it's a Metrotech radio, but maybe the first for realistic before they started farming out to somebody else. So match it with your Metrotech. Give us another transmission. Thanks for bringing it by. Radio number 4, the very interesting and rare realistic TRC-8D over.
Yeah, okay. I'm anxious to hear it on the archives. Might just change my mind. I might get his mic on there right away. We'll see what it sounds like. I can see by the meter it's not doing much switching on the so that's just about double. Yeah, thanks for checking in, Dennis. I'll get another one day.
Okay, thanks for that. And now for something completely different here on your old tube radio network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by star is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
Looking for radio number 5.
Why, that sounded neat on the stream.
Yeah, I know. The stream feed seems to be some extra microphone from the studio. It has a little bit of reverb to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like they're singing out of a cave. But The level wasn't too great, but it was pretty neat.
Yeah, I noticed the levels are down all the way around on the Jingle Singer, so I'll have to see if I can bring that studio feed up a little bit. In fact, I did. I've got everything set to 11, and they're still not loud enough.
Yeah, maybe you ought to take them out to lunch sometime, so they'll have a little bit better lungs.
You know what I need to do? Oh, I've got to check. I think I've got a picture of Buckeye Chuck. I probably, when Punxsutawney Phil was hanging out over there, he may have done something bad to the cables.
Uh-oh. Time to punish the cat.
No, I think it was that groundhog.
Hey, did you hear about those old Levi, the oldest Levi jeans in the world? There are 5 pairs pulled out of an old mine in Arizona.
Well, let's see. If obviously they would know when Levi Strauss put the first production run of jeans would be. So they figured these are probably something from that. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, they say that they're pre-1880s.
Okay, and they pulled them out of a mine. Was there? I hate to ask this question. Was there somebody in them?
No.
Then you would have to be an expert to know, first of all, if you were looking at them, the construction, they use these buckles and these rivets and things to know what kind of year you're looking at.
Yeah, apparently there was a guy that looking at him and said, "Yep, these are old jeans and all that stuff." But the videos on YouTube of them actually pulling it out and bringing them to the surface, and a so-called expert looking at them.
And of course, immediately they were put up on eBay. Here is the picture. If you're watching the video at oldtubradio.net, that is, let's see, on the right, on the left is Punxsutawney Phil, and that is Buckeye Chuck. I just learned something. I had no idea that's that person's name, or is that the persona? Depending on who is holding the animal there, you become Buckeye Chuck, or if that's actual, this guy has always been Buckeye Chuck. But there's the dynamic duo tomorrow that's going to seal our fate for winter and the rest of OTR, I think.
The real question is, who is more medicated, the gopher or the man holding the gopher?
Right, and then the other thing they do is the guy sticks his face right up there in front of the groundhog, which I don't think I would do. Maybe, like you said, it's sedated or medicated. All right, let me go back to the camera in case that is... Buckeye Chuck does not want us putting his picture on there. Punxsutawney Phil probably doesn't care one way or the other. But you never know about the human guy. Looking for Radio 5. I wonder if they found any tube radios in that next to those jeans. And there is 45. Hello, Paul. Come on in. We'll take you for Radio 5. Hello to listening in, watching Jigsaw. John checking in. Johnny Defiant. Sounds like a radio show that might have been on back when you were buying your
Realistic TRC 8D in 1963 and driving your Buick Electra 225 tuned to your favorite AM radio station, listening to Johnny Defiant. Paul, give us a transmission on your new Radio 5, over.
Okay. My Realistic, another Realistic, but this is made and manufactured in 1967. The number is a TRC X23. Now I got Tango Romeo Charlie X-Ray 23 Alpha.
Boy, and that has some very nice audio. When it first keyed up, it was a little weak, and then it just came in like gangbusters and very strong. So no need to shout into that. I'll leave the S meter up on the next transmission. We'll get a signal report and then go to a close-up. This reminds me of something. This has a look of a courier or something to it. So I wonder who Realistic, under the guise of Metrotech, under the guise of something. We'll see if we can find out here. Give us a transmission on the X23.
Yeah, it's just about like the ICO.
Okay, that's it. It has a look of something, and I think we've already established that Realistic wasn't making any of their radios, possibly, but tagging their name onto it as they were becoming a little bit more popular in CB radios, selling their stereos and the things they did, thinking, hey, we can do the CB thing as well. Yeah, give me a transmission. We'll take a look at the radio. It's got great audio, so we'll find out more about it. Over.
Okay. Well, this has got that all copper chassis on the thing. Real pretty when you open them up. Look in there with the tubes laying against sitting on the copper chassis. It looks really impressive. And guess what? It's made in Japan. So that's probably one of the reasons. They did a fine job on them, I'll tell you over there. It's manufactured in 1967. Has 10 tubes, 23 channel crystal controls. This thing has a PA on it, on the right-hand, PA, public address on the right-hand side. Like I said, it has an all-copper chassis, and it's just super pretty in there. The radio is a buffed aluminum. The rest of the radio is polished aluminum. So they've done a nice job to make it look pretty, but maybe the wife would let you put them on the front room. Anyway, made in Japan, like I say, and I'm running an Aesthetic D104 M6B amplified on it.
Perfect microphone for that. Nice and punchy audio. Not overdone. Doesn't sound like it's flat topping at all. I see you got a modulation light right there in the front. The classic PA. I just wonder how many people use their CB radios for PA, either in the car or maybe at some function, but I guess they figure they have that nice audio amplifier circuit in there, so give yourself an output and you could turn it into a PA system. You basically have a PA running into your transmitter. This is interesting to me. Like I said earlier, my first radio was a TRC 23, which was the first Realistic Navajo, the one that didn't have the Delta tune on it and had the really horrible built-in power supply and that bad speaker. I wish I would have gotten this radio instead, but that was, 67. I was probably still doing the walkie-talkie thing. So this is the precursor, and this is solid. This is a tube. The one I had was solid state. So they came out with the 23. Very interesting. I like this radio already just for that purpose. And my notes say that it was made in Japan. So I don't know. Maybe it's more of a Panasonic chassis or something. It's got an S meter, 23 channels. I wonder what the price of this was. I don't have a price point, but it might have been kind of affordable, in the $150 range compared to what was out there. Sounds really good. The microphone is good. I'm looking at the controls, power, and band spread. So I'm thinking the band spread is your fine-tuning for receive. And the phones and external speaker are right up in the front. Give us another transmission, and I will, as I've been doing, check and see how the crystals are working on that thing. Over.
Okay. It's light right in the middle, right next to the speaker there, the left-hand side. That's the regular red modulation light on the thing. And it's flashing real good right now, so it's doing the job on the microphone. I hope you had enough time. Back to you.
Yeah, let me get the microphone back here. That's the sound of the microphone boom that's
not in a very good spot here. 2784.3, so about 700, about 650 low, so still within FCC specs. Well within my probably 2 kc, 3 kc passband here either way. Crystal controlled, it says. That was the big thing, you know. We didn't have solid state. Your television said, back in 1967, your television said color. And maybe some of your transistor radios said solid state, but this the shout out on this one was crystal controlled, as opposed to what? You had to be crystal controlled, at least on the transmit, not so on the receive. Boy, another rare radio. So the realistics now looking pretty good here on the OTR Super Bowl. This is the TRC-X 23, followed from the TRC-8D. This one definitely has it in the modulation department better than the 8D, that's for sure. Over.
Yeah, well, of course, the modulation on this thing, of course, is the microphone. Besides the radio, they both work well together on this thing, the realistic and the microphone. So that's what it takes. To get it right, then you got it made. Thanks to hear it on the archives. Is it staying? It's not over-modulating, is it?
No, it's really nice, perfect. You will be pleased with what you hear. You could probably tell me that is a sonar or a tram, and I would believe you because the audio is good. And it is our Radio 5 checking in at 921 and sounding doggone good. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Dennis.
And a lot of these radios, do you have one that's your original brand new radio? My original brand new radio was the Realistic TRC 23. I think my choice, and I should have bought it, was the Fan and Fanfare, and it was tubes. And I remember just thinking, I don't want a tube. I don't want a tube radio. I want to get that new solid state stuff. Inky Doggy, his Courier 23, the one he has, purchased brand new in 1966. The one we have up here, the Realistics from 1967. And Johnny Defiant starting out with the Lafayette Comstat 19. We used to have a lot of those checking in. I haven't heard a 19 in a while, but what was cool about that is the 19, I think, had a switch that you could take the thing down to 100 milliwatts. So you could actually buy that radio and use it before you got your licensed, because 100 milliwatt was unlicensed. But if you wanted to talk to the neighbor at walkie-talkies, I think you could click that down to 100 milliwatts. We've done that before when the guys check them with the 19s. I always ask them, say, okay, go back to that switch and go to 100 milliwatts and see if I can hear you. Courier Royales we might get one checking in tonight. And the homemade half-wave dipole up in a pine tree. That's what I want to do, is get something up in a tree I've got here. Thinking about making like a 5/8 ladder line or something. Try that. You never know. OTR, we are looking for radio number 6. Let's try the Jingle Singers again. I'm going to see if I can pump up the audio. Punxsutawney Phil hasn't chewed through our cables. This is the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest nation for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
Well, still a little weak, but you get the point here at 9:30 Pacific Standard Time. Still time to warm up a radio if you want to check in your SWL side. Give us a shout, a holler, tell us what's going on in the Old Tube Radio Network. Hey, and look who's in the balcony, up in the balcony waving a hand. Let me go over to the, before I unkey here, let me go to the SWL list and bring it up here and dial up SWL 31. Coming in late tonight. Wherever you went, you probably had fun. At least I hope you had fun. Robert and Teresa, SWL 31. We will get you guys checked in out of Hendersonville. And thanks for tuning in. The Saturday night place to be.
25.
And hello, 25. You caught me here messing with my paperwork. I keep forgetting. I'm so used to being on radio, and then there's a camera in front of me. So anything I do, I have to behave because anything I do is caught on camera for all to see. So that's what I'm doing. We have to do paperwork. This is the analog part of our tube radio network. Jerry, do you perhaps have Radio 6 for us? Over.
Well, I hope so, and maybe a possible radio that might fit in a Buick Electra, 1963 Buick Electra 225. And this is the Brown & Golden Eagle Mark III SSB two-piece radio, and we're talking on the stock handheld banana mic. I believe made by Electro Voice. And interesting thing, we have this jamming with some other musicians, and well, this is kind of on the side, but one of the microphones, I use Sennheisers, and this guy has an Electro Voice. I go, well, your kids, yeah, that's cool, man, and he's using an Electro Voice. But anyway, that's beside the point. I'm rambling. Anyway, back to you, Dennis. Golden Mark III SSB, Brown & Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, two-piece radio. Back to you, Dennis.
Back to me in the studio. Here's our picture, courtesy of SWL 135. Cliff, if you're listening, we really appreciate your great, super quality photos that we have been using forever. And we started doing this with an eye on detail as to the radio being on and transmitting and looking every bit like it would if you were in front driving it. In fact, we even have the on-the-air light showing up on this one from the D104 microphone. Boy, in the Super Bowl of OTR tonight, the fans of Browning just cheered. Here we are in the third quarter, and they haven't even been on the scoreboard yet, and now they finally are. And the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. Could I say their most popular radio? I know the Mark II was popular, but the thing is they made these for 4 years, 1972 to 1976, and the only reason they stopped was they had to do something with the 40-channel transmit side, because they had the 40-channel receiver going, and they came out with the Mark IV, but even at $700, they sold quite a few of these, and they are still around today. You mentioned Sennheiser. The microphonium I started with for OTR was my MD421. I'll get a shot. It's right over here, so we'll talk about the Sennheiser microphone. But first, let's take another transmission on your radio, which I'm familiar with, and I mentioned this before. I have actually sat in the operating position over there at SWL 25, and we have done a few net controls from that very radio room. Over.
Okay, Dennis. I'm kind of part and parcel to Sennheiser voice microphones for playing music, and anyway, well, just so happened keyboard player, and as I just hooked up with the last couple of weeks, plays actually uses an Electro Voice, a microphone made for an Electro Voice. I go, wait a minute, I got one of those. It's found by Brown & Golden Eagle Mark III, and here it is. So, anyway, kind of fun. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Yeah, the Browning, I think you can hook any microphone up to a Browning, and it's going to sound like a Browning. That's what I found out. The Shure 444, the amplified microphone, you can amplify the heck out of them. They'll take it, but it still has that sound. I even ran the audio board into the Browning, and it refuses to pass certain frequencies. They've got the audio capacitors in there kind of tied up to make it sound like a Browning, and that's a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. The Brownings are always sounding good. All right, reaching over to the side. See if I can do this without breaking something. Here it is. Here is the kind of worse for wear MD421. I don't have the close-up cameras on the Fritz. I think it's got an autofocus that doesn't work anymore, so I'll have to work on that. But anyway, here's the
And this is a sorry edition. This is probably a 30, 40-year-old right, the MD 421. Let's do that. Let's do that 3D thing here. And it's got the ring. It's got the speech ring. And this came from an X4000. X4000 will know what I'm talking about here. This came from the FM radio station where I work, from the engineer there, and it was sitting in a box, and it looks like it's been dropped, and the cord is frayed, and he said, well, why don't you try this? You know, take this home and see what you can do with it. So that was, I don't know, 30 years ago. It's a long time ago. And it's still, even it's in bad shape, at least for low fidelity CB, it worked just fine. But there's the MD 421. They make them now. They look just like this. Well, they don't look just like this, but they're the same shape with the EQ ring on it and the funky 4-pin connector. So maybe I'll have to bring it over. Maybe I'll if I record some music, Jerry, maybe I'll use that and it will make me sound good. What do you think?
Okay, as I was listening to you, I switched over to the non-powered D104. And by the way, this radio is a 2-pin, or at least wired up for a 2-pin connector, not a 4-pin. So I guess it's maybe a little older, not up to snuff as the newer Brownies were. So, but anyway, I just for the heck of it, I switched over to the D104. Back to you, Dennis.
All right, wow. I don't know. That may sound better. I'm going to have to go back and replay on the archives and see. What do you think? What do you think, SWLs? Report back next week and tell them which one to use. That one is even louder. I don't know if it makes your voice sound more, what's the word, mellifluous or not. But they both work fine. Just got to be careful with that little 2-pin connector. There's some nasty voltages on that. Radio number 6, we are talking with Jerry out in Madera Heights on his Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, sounding good as always. So back to you. Give us a transmission, and thanks for bringing it by. And, I need to check in somebody here, so go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Dennis, thank you for running the net for some plus 30 plus years, and all the operators out there, Paul, Chris, everybody else. Wonderful to hear from everyone. So anyway, the last transmission on the Golden Eagle Mark III SSB from Browning, and on the non-powered D104. Anyway, back to you, Dennis. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm just listening. You know what? That reminds me of, remember 8 Everett, when he would be so loud that we'd have to wrap him in the curtain? That just has a lot of audio. It punches, but our signal is good. You might not need it. It's actually a little bit shrill. That might be the good I can't hear you or DX microphone, but man, having a 2-hour conversation, I think I like the previous one. It's a little bit more mellow. But you sound good. The radio sounds good. Radio number 6, our first Browning of the evening. Still 20 minutes to check in radios before we sign out tonight. Waving a hand, as they say on Citizen Band Radio, and also checking in Brown Dog Audio, WWS 1942, Central Kentucky. Let me click on the button, and you will see, indeed, that SW57 is, if I do it says checked in. It's cool how that works. Lets me know what the heck I'm doing. I figured you might have been out on the sideband somewhere working DX, such that it is. And sounds like your Universal Media NetWeb is now up and running. OTR is standing by, looking for Radio 7. Over.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead.
Oh, yes. This is not an all-tube radio, but I just thought I'd mention I was looking on eBay, and I found an old tube radio on eBay that's looks like it's a fixer-upper, but they're letting it go pretty cheap, only $25 for a Polycon radio.
It lights up. What's the thing? It lights up, and there's a power cord. Now, the other thing is how much is shipping?
Polycom. Well, Polycom made all sorts of Polycom Pro, the Senior 23. Might be good for possible parts, you never know.
Yeah, this is it's a Polytronics Lab PCN 12, and the shipping is $28, and to buy it now $25. So that's a little over $50. That's not too bad if you're really looking for a Polytronics.
That's one of their earlier ones. Paul that checks in the Polycom N? And there was an N8 channel. I'm seeing if I got a picture of it. Yeah, let me jump up the picture. So I'm thinking, you're probably not watching the video, but it might have, if it's that era, it might look something like that.
I'm actually watching the. Yes, it's something like that. Yes, very similar, a little bit different. But I posted the link on the OTR in the OTR comments section.
Okay, refresh my comments and see if it actually showed up. And with my slow internet connection, it isn't supposed to be slow. There it is. And also say hello to Sun City, California, listening in Germantown, Wisconsin, Spokane, Washington's in. Hello to Connecticut. Hello to somewhere at or near Wheelersburg, Ohio. And where the heck is Bathgate? I should know that. Someone listening in from afar, where it's partly cloudy in the UK at 5:43 a.m., 34 degrees, overlooking the beautiful Fairway Hotel and Restaurant. A small jaunt from Blackburn, Armadale, and Torpichen. The Universal Media Net Web makes the Old Tube Radio Network worldwide. Well, thanks for the info, Larry. We'll see if anybody's interested there. And we are still looking for Radio 7.
37.
You made it back. You have abandoned the rubber ducky for a push-to-talk microphonium.
Grounded him. He went down the drain. The rubber ducky.
Yeah, well, that's not good, because you're probably going to need it sometime soon.
They're making too much noise.
They're supposed to do that. All right. Well, you are destined to be Radio 7, and so I am ready to see what it is you have brought to the radio table here.
Okay. Well, I'm going to check in my G PowerMate Gem Marine Products, the pretty blue radio here. And it's 23 channel tuber for that also. And we'll run this here with the amplified D104 Lollipop.
There it is, one of the infamous Panasonic clones, all of like Robin T123B and some other things. That's the reason they sound so good, because I believe all of those radios show up with the plate modulation. This one, if you like blue, this is probably your radio. Go ahead.
Of course, I got blue eyes. It's got to go with me.
23 channels, S-meter. This would be a good radio if you can find one. Talking about, buying your first old tube radio. Find something like this. It's got everything you need. It's got the fine tune, all 23 channels ready to go, no spotting, S-meter, and it's tried and true on the chassis as well. And Chris has been checking in this radio not every week, but for a long time, and it always seems to work okay and never misses a beat.
Well, I've had to slap it a couple of times.
Well, I know you do it in a kinder, gentler mode of operation to make the radio work. Sometimes a little coercive force is actually necessary on a tube radio. What kind of microphone are you running?
I believe it's a T. What is that? Let me see here. Let me get my glasses on. It's a D104. I know that. My glasses. I can't find my glasses. They're in the other room. But anyway, I think it's a TUG 8 or a 9 stand.
All right, D104, good enough. That tells us what we need to know for those who might be looking or wanting that type of radio. Also, let me say 73 to the mighty Juliet Whiskey. John out there in Ohio, where it's very late, is checking out with us tonight. Thanks. Well, I whatever you got, we've checked it out. I don't think you have to change a thing. This radio does not have, like some of the Panasonic chassis, where you have the PACB switch. There could be a range expander, range boost, but you definitely don't need it. So just stick with the PA.
Well, you know, I don't see no range boost on the front of this thing at all. I don't think there's anything in the back hidden that I know of.
No, and I don't know about the chassis. If they had 3 different ones and only certain ones had the range boost in, or if it's actually in there but they just don't hook it up, I don't think that would be the case. But whatever, you certainly don't need it.
And if you remember my Eichel Sentinel Pro, the 23-hour trash can special, now that one had the range boost in it.
Yes, I think we used to test it. I can't remember if it tested well or not, but this one is doing a good job. You are Radio 7. I wasn't sure how far we were going to get tonight on the pre-Super Bowl. A lot of people might be sampling all the stuff that they bought today. All the liquid refreshments and the chips and everything, and OTR would go to a back seat. But some of you are actually out there tonight, and that's a good thing. Radio 7 is a good thing. Give us another transmission, Chris. Thanks for bringing by the Gem Marine Products G-Power Mate over.
No problem at all. It was an enjoyable transition to get this thing on here to transmit.
All right, indeed. And we got the Jingle Singers coming up the ramp here for another item of interest. And Johnny Defiant wondering, what's the best tram D201? The D201A, hand-wired, early or late models? You know, I'm not an aficionado in that, but sometimes I get scared when you read about the power supply issues on some of them and band switch issues on some of them, and then the hand-wired ones saying that they were assembled better. If you want a Vox control, the hand-wired is the only one to get, because that actually had a Vox on it, which isn't the greatest thing for AM. It's a little confusing to your listener, but pretty cool on sideband. So it's hard to say. Anybody might want to chime in on that one, but I know probably the best way is to get one that doesn't have the power supply heating issues on some of the components, and then the other one was something with the band switch. So it's like, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I guess you can't go wrong with any of them if they're working properly. I think the only big difference was some people say the hand-wired stuff might be a better way to go, but I don't know. And then the Vox. If you absolutely have to have a Vox, and you got to have the earlier ones, but they're I think they didn't make that many, and they're harder to find. Over in the other studio, it looks quiet. Punxsutawney Phil and Chuck and all those people are out, probably back on the plane to get where they need to go early in the morning to check their shadow. But the lights are on in the studio, and I see the shadows of the Jingle Singers. Here they go.
You're listening in the latest style.
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
Looking for radio number 8.
This is Vox on AM on my Kenwood. Hello.
Yeah, Vox is okay. It has the delay, the ending delay. You have to have it set, the trip delay, so that you don't, room noises don't set it off. I used to run Vox all the time. It was great for OTR because you need your hands to work the papers and everything, but you just got to be careful that it doesn't trip
when you don't want it to. And then the other issue is if you've got to set your delay, especially if you're chatting a lot like I am, so that it keeps the transmitter on and long enough so that it doesn't drop out and then people jump in on before you're done. But then a lot of times you stop talking and you've got that delay and it throws people off. So it's a little tricky. It's great for sideband, a little tricky on AM.
I just saw him now. No, I use it on sideband every once in a while when I get lazy.
This is the lazy frequency. I was going to try something here. If I don't break, what is this? I've got more cables than I need. All right, I'll be right back.
And he's cable bound.
Well, I just had a thought. I was going to plug in. Let's see if I can do it here. I'm going to plug in the Sennheiser, but this isn't going to go. See, this won't go through the audio. And is it going to go through both things? Let me see. If I come into number 4 and I turn off that and I have to feed it into. No, maybe it is coming through. Let me turn off that. No? Am I on with the Sennheiser? Oh, we got a bat. There it is. Hello, radio test, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there's the Sennheiser. I've got a really, because it's in a mic thing. And we've got that, and 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. That's the radio there. So there's the Sennheiser microphone going. I think it's directly into everything. So it probably doesn't sound that good, but that's the sound on the internet. I've got some effects going on which I can turn off. But there you go. It's supposed to have that little ring, which is probably broken. Let's see. You change. Is it? Okay, there it is. That's speech. You can hear it roll off the low frequencies, and there you go. Boom, boom, sizzling sausage. There's the low frequency stuff. But that's the 421 directly in without any processing. Still looking for radio number 8.
I like that low frequency. All right, I'm out listening.
All right, I think I'll bite at that one. How about one from the Radio Lounge?
The Radio Lounge is good. Let me get rid of the Sennheiser microphone. That one's for Randy, our engineer who is cosmically listening. Randy, it is still working. The MD421 making its reappearance on the old Tube Radio Network. You have Radio 8 from the Radio Lounge. Over.
Well, before we talk about this, I got to have, that was kind of interesting. I detected at least 3 different changes in your audio. What you're going to have to explain that again. You went from your regular microphone to that one, and there was something else you had moved around or changed.
Yeah, I went from the microphone from the Heil PR40, which is running through all sorts of unnecessary, expensive audio processing gear, and then it's being split to go to the radio and it's being split to go to the feed for the Universal Media NetWeb. And then I plugged the Sennheiser directly into the audio board, which bypasses pretty much everything. It may have had a little bit of processing, but it pretty much bypasses everything. So obviously you hear a big difference there, with lack of compression, limiting, and equalization. And then it has its own little equalization ring on the microphone. It's built in, really cool. And it goes from speech, it's an S to M, speech to music. So the speech, they roll off the low frequencies, the music, they bring up the high frequencies. It is a great music microphone. That's what Jerry was saying, but we use them at the radio station. And boy, you can put them in front of the kick drum and it works great. They work great for guitars. They work great for voice because you can adjust the equalization there. So that's the difference you heard. And I just did a quick insert, and I actually got the audio to go to where I wanted it, so who knows. All right, so that's the thing on that. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's what I did. Over.
No, that's you definitely explained it, and that's great. I love testing and just listening to the little changes and modifications that we occasionally do. I haven't heard a whole lot of that recently, but this one has nothing that I can adjust on the microphone. This is a Robin T123B,
Bravo.
Okay, the T123B. I will bring up a picture of that, but it's going to look different, a little bit different than the last radio that we checked in. However, if you were to look at the schematic or take the case off, it would actually look a lot like the radio that we last checked in, because it is one of the Panasonic chassis that we talked about. Let me bring up, let's see, radio and S meter. That's what we want. Does this one have, I was talking to Chris about the various items. Boy, I'm totally lost here. Get my picture on. There we go. Nope, wrong one. There we go. And, okay, this does have the range expand in place, but it also has the PA. This is sort of the deluxe version. So go ahead and take a transmission. You are sounding good, and you have given us Radio 8.
Oh, good. Yeah, I actually had another radio kind of warmed up and ready to go, but you had mentioned something previously about the range expand on the other radio. So I thought I would check this one in first. This does have the range expand. It's I guess is it a toggle switch? I don't know if this particular switch has an exact name, but whatever kind of switch it is, it's right underneath the S meter, which is on the left side of the radio. Kind of a black face meter that has all the numbers, and the scale, is the unpainted portion of the black face meter. But so right now the range expand is on. I know this switch doesn't get used a whole lot, so it could be sticky. But 1, 2, 3, this is what it sounds like with the range expand on. We're going to go off in 1, 2, 3, and this is the range expand turned off. Actually, that's my demodulation lamp. Testing 1, 2, 3. My modulation lamp made absolutely no difference. It was lighting up exactly the same on or off. I don't know what it sounded like, but that was kind of interesting.
It was interesting. There was a change in the tone, in the frequency. Basically, it dropped a lot of the low frequencies, but you still had, although if you're on a modulation meter, I would imagine it would go down a little bit, but you still had the high frequency punch. So I think that was enough to tickle your mod light. But for those of us SWLs like myself listening in on larger speakers or headphoniums where we could detect the low frequency response, that's what you lost most of by turning your range expand off. But probably still had the audio peaks and the high frequencies to keep that mod light winking and blinking, as we say on your Robin T123B, the Panasonic chassis from Japan that was very popular from 1972 to 1976. Another fatality of the 40-channel thing. You see a lot of 1976 brick walls on these radios being manufactured, but boy, a good run with that, and a lot of them around. 11 tubes, and one of the tubes is the 12AX7, which is a superior tube for your audio, and the modulator mic preamp runs one of those. So yeah, I think it sounds better to me with the range expand on. Gets it at least fidelity wise, but you could do it either way. Over.
So that makes me want to ask. It says range expand, which of course implies you're going to be able to, unless I'm missing something, it implies you're implying that you're going to be able to talk and or listen further. So, I'm wondering, did someone actually do some scientific research, or did it just change the audio, and they thought, well, the audio's changed, so we're going to trick some buffoons into thinking that they're going to double their range if they buy this particular radio and flip that switch on. Was there any legitimacy to to their claim of expanding the range?
Perhaps. I mean, if you were listening, let's say you had your eyes closed, you weren't looking at S meters, and you had the volume down, and you had it adjusted in such a manner that you might be 75% modulated with it on and 25% modulated with it off. One might assume, without looking at the S meter and seeing that indeed your signal didn't change one bit,
albeit for the peaks, for the PEP part of it, that indeed maybe you went farther away, just from your audio, from your audio loudness. But as for expanding things, the other thing is they probably had a contest there, an in-play contest, and with you write the name. We have a little switch on the radio, and we don't know what to call it. So help us out and write the name of what that switch should be and drop it in the box. And when they opened them up, and then they had range boost and mic gator and the talk thing and on-offy, and somebody came up with range expand, and that was the winner. The other thing might have been copyright things. The others already have range boost and loudmouth switch and all that, and we can't use that. So I don't know. I'm just guessing. It works. It does well. You can listen to the archives. I thought before we did that, where it goes way down, like I can almost not hear you, but this time it basically did a lot of changing of the frequency response, but it was still sounding okay. So the story of the range expand is still not solved. We solved the story, and we didn't have one check in tonight of the sonar. We solved the FS story, and I'm saving that for when we actually get a sonar checked in. But the range expand, I think it's whoever won the contest. The employee, put the name in the contest.
Oh, well, that's good. Okay, I know it's 10:03 right now, but I would like to check in real quick. Another Robin that, number one, I don't have to scream into. It is so much more pleasurable for me to operate this radio, especially this late in the evening because of its amplified microphone. But I am kind of sad because it does not have, I think you call it a on-offy switchy, or on-offy switch. That was pretty good there, sir. I'm deeply impressed. Not with this radio because it is lacking that particular switch, but bravo. That would have won my vote in the naming contest.
Yeah, you can tell I've been in these name the thing contests before, and obviously I don't do very well. They've never pulled my card out. I never got the free dinner or whatever they give you for that. I think I've modified. I've switched our radio over to the T123. The T123. So we stepped back. The T123B from 1970, starting in 1972, and the T123 prior to that. And the giveaway, of course, is the cool Magic iTube 6RE13. I can't remember, but the Magic iTube for the modulator indicator rather than the winking, blinking light on the other radio. This one sounds just as good and a little bit louder. I guess it's set up so, like you said, with the microphone you have, so you don't have to talk very loud. Still a player. Maybe not the powerhouse chassis that the Panasonic gave, but I give this one 3 thumbs up.
Oh, good. Well, it was the first tube radio in my collection, and I think, it actually is the only one that's currently got an amplified mic wired up to it. You were, at the beginning of this conversation, we were chatting about your microphone changes that you had over there, and it's funny that you bring that up because please don't ask me why, but it's been years since I've done this. I went on eBay and I was looking at the Turner microphones. I can't remember exactly what it was. The Turner, oh goodness sakes, you're gonna have to help me out. It was a Turner microphone that actually had, I think, some sort of an S meter in the microphone itself, and I think there were a couple slide switches on there too that you could actually adjust the tone of your transmission there. It was a really cool looking microphone. Oh my gosh, not a sidekick. What the heck was that thing called?
Larry has one. I don't like that, where it's got the tone controls and things. A lot of the plus 2s and plus 3s had compressors and little limiters and things into them, but if you bypass or don't include all the echo things, then they finally got it smart and said, let's put in some tone controls as well. So I don't know. I don't have one, but it could be the Sidekick. But Larry has another one like that. I don't even know if it's a Turner or not. I would take a minute to say good night to Inky Dog. Staying up. So a lot of our listeners stay up very late because we're on the West Coast. And in theory, we should be starting this at 5 o'clock like they do for all the West Coast shows. But we start at 8 because of when it's the summertime and Skip is in, nobody would hear us locally. So that's why we do it so late. So I'm always amazed at how late people stay up listening to the radios, and we appreciate that. I know our radio operators do. We spend a lot of time checking out these radios. You've got it set up. Don't worry about the microphonium, and as long as you've got wiggle meters and magic eyes blinking, you're doing okay. Mitch, SWL23, found one of those cards I was talking about from the employee. He might have been one of the employees that was there. And his was called Home on the Range Expand. But you know what happened. You know what happens with that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a discouraging word is heard, and the rest is history. So obviously it just went to range expand. And you gotta know the song. All right, we can't play the song due to copyright violations. What else? We've got the Robin. Radio 8 is the Robin T123. Radio 9 is a Robin T123 at 10 o'clock. I'm just wondering if you've got another one up your sleeve. Over.
No, I'm sorry. I got distracted there. I had to answer a couple questions. No, that is it. I'm sorry that awkward pause was not me attempting to screw up some sort of an antenna switch and bad radio choreography. That's it for me. Again, bravo on the naming. I feel bad. You said that you never won any really cool naming contests. I'm sorry. I think you've done a great job, and if you want, I think I've got a Happy Steak gift certificate laying around here somewhere. Or maybe, I won't make a comment about maybe a certificate for a nice breakfast at Sambo's. I wouldn't bring that up because it'd be politically incorrect. But you certainly deserve some sort of an award in my book. So thanks for letting me check these two radios in, and what a pleasure it is. So thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And 73.
All right, 73 to you. It looks like we're going to make double-digit radios. We'll pick up that breaker in just a moment. And Happy Steak, I can't believe you actually said that. That brings back, I want to say terrible memories, but it's not, of Happy Steak. We did their commercials. This had to be 40 years ago when they were on the corner of Clinton and Blackstone, I believe. There was a Happy Steak there, which turned into something else. It's torn down now, and they've got a Starbucks there. I could tell you, I'm not going to do it during the net. I could tell you stories about these Happy Steak commercials we did. That's when I was just kind of starting out, and I realized what you see on television is not what you get. Oh my gosh! All right, and Happy Steak, and I did win a contest once. We're at Channel 30. They had when they first started these giant video screens, the big 90-inch TVs that the anchors stand in front of. I don't even know if they do that anymore. When they first started standing in front of video screens, they had a name. The director, the news guy, was calling it the big ass monitor. Said, "Oh, we need this big ass monitor." So I abbreviated it because it's like I don't want to say that. So and the director has to call the shots. Like camera 2, pan over to the anchor at the big ass monitor. And so I said, why don't we just call it the BAM, the BAM? And so it became the BAM shot, pan over for the BAM shot. So I think that was my claim to fame, and I did not get a Der Wiener Schnitzel corn dog or anything like that. Before you comment, let me say hello, SWL20, because he's run out to the Radio Shack, and we're always pleased when he manages to get out there, and I don't want to keep him. Hello, 20.
Okay. I was doing some work inside. I wanted to finish. Okay, radios tonight. That TRC X23. TRC X23. They also made, and I think it was for the Canadians, the realistic satellite TRC X23AC, which looks pretty much just like the other one, except where the little modulation round light is, they put a big old rectangular square red jewel type light thing in. And where it says realistic, this one just says satellite TRC-X23AC. Boy, what a number. Anyway, the realistic TRC-8D is, you mentioned Metrotech. It's a Metrotech MetroStar Model 131 is what that radio is. And by the way, there's a realistic TRC-8D, which looks really good on eBay. It's been there for a while because the gentleman wants $999.95 or best offer. I think it'll sit there for a while, although it looks in excellent shape. Anyway, wanted to mention those few things to you before we go.
Okay, I'm glad you did. And I've been following along on the video with the appropriate radios that you talked about. Then I'm just wondering if that TRC-8D that may or may not still be on Facebook has the proper face front on it. Because the one that we're showing, I just can't believe that that is the way the radio looked all the time. It just looks like it had... It's not marked. The knobs don't match anything. So obviously the insides are correct. I'm just curious that the shot we have with those strange knobs and no markings whatsoever, it couldn't have come out like that unless they were ashamed. Unless Metrotech didn't give them the permission, and they said, well, just take the front panel off. Just take the front panel off, and nobody will know the difference. I don't know.
Oh, no. The TRC-8D has all the markings, etc., except the one Paul has. Unfortunately, somebody repainted the whole front face and didn't put any names for what everything is. The switch on the lower right, the slide switch to position on the right, I believe it's a PA RF switch. It says PA on the left, RF on the right. Okay. And then the slide switch to the left of it, I believe the left position says crystal and the right says tune. So I think it's crystal receive and tunable receive, I guess, for that on those switches. And then you have the channel selector knob, I guess, and this, that, and the other. But the tune might be a spot, well, no, it can't be a spot. I'm not exactly sure what it means, but that's what it says. However, on eBay for $14.95 or $14.99 is the, I think, manual with schematic for the Metrotech MetroStar Model 131 or 133, I think it is, for 14 and change. Although the realistic is in FAM, so that would do for that.
Interesting. Well, radio sounded good, what he had, and I figured that was
redo on the front faceplate, and they seem to be rare. Realistic was sort of searching, you know. I think searching for a manufacturer because they really wanted to get into CB stuff and make some money that way. Okay, let me get rid of that radio, go back to the S meter, and then ask you, indeed, you are sitting in front of something that probably is going to be Radio 10, I bet.
Oh, yeah. My Golden Beagle R68 T68 by Browning Laboratories with the custom D104 with the Browning medallion on the back. And by the way, I have that second D104 with a Browning medallion on it. I picked up about 6 months or so ago. Now that medallion isn't as pristine as this one. This one is like, let me look, just about perfect. But I wanted to get them duplicated because there's a guy on eBay selling stickers and they were the wrong color and the wrong size. I actually emailed him or through eBay or whatever and talked to him about it, and I took a picture of this medallion, sent it to him with the dimensions, told him what the color was, etc., and we both went to a color chart that they have, and we did the colors. So we now got stickers that supposedly are about the right size and right coloring. He's got two different ones. The old ones, which I guess he's getting rid of, and then the new one. And on my other one, my one that's not quite perfect, I took a chance and tried to get it off of the back of the D104, and I was real careful, and it just popped right off and didn't bend it or anything. It turns out to be some metal, really soft but very light aluminum or something, and trying to figure out how to get those duplicated somewhere. Somebody's got to have some sort of machine and some technology to duplicate that thing, and then people can have them and stick them on their D104s or their radios. Anyway, I'll turn it back to you. This is just about my favorite radio.
I'm thinking it probably is. It probably is your favorite radio, but I know you can't say that out loud because of all the other radios that are hanging around in the shack there. And they have to, they have to work. They can't be pining away to be your favorite radio. Radio 10, the Browning original Golden Eagle. I guess the first one, right, to get the golden mark, the R68, T68, and on the web, on our site, .net, and on the video, there is, thanks Mitch for the heads up on finding the shot. There's the proper knobs and faceplate on the realistic TR8D. That's the way it should look if you weren't to take the thing off and paint it. It's still, it's still kind of plain looking, but it was a Metrotech. But at least it had, there's the two switches. I was wondering what they were when Paul was talking. One's a PA switch and one is a crystal, and it's expanded so much I can't really tell, but some type of a crystal thing going on. And then the volume control. So, okay, I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of like it better with nothing on there. So you made us get double digits, Harvey. And for the fans of Brownings here on the pre-Super Bowl OTR, you made the fans cheer, but I have a feeling they're not going to be happy when we sign out. Back to you.
Now, if I wanted to, and if you wanted to sit there, I could do about 5 more radios in succession. and just do it. But now I'm too tired. I'm not going to do it. Not tonight, anyway.
Only 5?
Well, only 5 that are actually hooked up. Let's see, 2, 4. I have 6 on this one shelf here, and I can reach them all, and they're all hooked into the switch box, so I can actually do it, but that's not right, so I'm not going to do it. One of these days, I'll get them all hooked up, but not tonight. My Mark II bullet hole special, that's kind of a semi-favorite too. It's my Mark II without all the accessories. Doesn't have the sideband transmitter, doesn't have the trans adapter, none of the extra stuff, just a transmitter, AM transmitter, and receiver. But somebody had drilled holes in it for switches. And on the transmitter, it looks like about a 38 or a 44. And then on the side hole, and on the receiver, it looks to be about a 22. So it's my bullet hole special radio.
And it wasn't your bullet.
Say what, Dennis?
It wasn't your bullet.
No way. Anyway, here's how they came, and that's why I kept thinking of those Browning medallions and the other Browning stick-on things. Now, Cliff has a R68 T68 that's got one of the aluminum-type stick-on things that says Browning Laboratory on it there. And I think for a few extra dollars, you could buy these things and stick them on, including the medallion. But hardly anybody, I guess, did it because there's so few and far between. I have 2 medallions and a couple of the rectangular Browning Lab labels that I was able to find. And those I haven't put on anything yet. I have to figure out where I want to put them. They're too narrow to put over my bullet hole. I plan to find something to put over them. Or just leave them the way they are. I mean, it's my bullet hole special, so it doesn't hurt the radio, so just leave it that way.
That's right. It might. It's where the sound comes out. There's some reason for that to be there. Got you checked in as Radio 10. I want to say hello to Cobra, Mike, SWL 13, Lucky 13, checking in tonight in the Old Tube Radio Network. And give a call here at 24 after 10 o'clock for any other stations or comments or anything that would like to jump in here before we clear out frequency on the Old Tube Radio Network. And I go next door over into the studio to find out what kind of mess a groundhog can make.
I did mention those stickers. If you got like a Browning that's got a big old ding that you kind of pounded out, but it's still there, and you can't match the paste, but it's small enough, I guess. You can put one of those Browning medallion stickers over it. In fact, I think I could just get one over my 38 or 44 Magnum hole in the transmitter, and definitely over the 22 special hole in the receiver. In the receiver, it's right even opposite on the right-hand side of the on-the-air light. And the 44 mag is in between the mic plug and the spot switch on the transmitter. And I think I could get the stickers, just go right over them. And, if I didn't really mind the holes that much, which I don't, I can put those stickers over that. So it's a thought. They're not that expensive, and they're on eBay. Okay, turn it back to you.
I guess one last question. Is it okay to put a Browning sticker on a radio that's not a Browning?
As long as it's a Brown radio.
Okay. I just want to know. I'm going to make sure there's no type of Laconia, New Hampshire police that would come out and do things to you. Okay, the Jingle Singers banging on the window. They said, we need to do this. So do it as loud as you can. Get through the Gopher groundhog chew cable, and here we go.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
Counting and amounting.
Harvey.
Yo.
What was that realistic radio that you were talking about on eBay for like some sick price?
That's the TRC 8D that Paul had. Paul's radio, somebody had taken the front panel off and just repainted it and never put any graphics on it to say what's what. And it's just blank. But Paul figured out what switch does what. You know, it's fine. But he knew it was TRC 8D. And the same radio in pristine condition on the as far as graphics and all that stuff is on eBay for $999.95. That's right, $999.95.
And Mike, it looks like you can get a special offer. It says $42. I can't really read it. $42 for 24 months.
Yeah, you know, I always struggle what to say about these radios. I was absolutely going to bring that up right now. I'm wondering what the little asterisk is after the word months. $42 for 2 years. I don't think so. That's a good-looking radio. I got excited. I thought it was a mobile TRC tube radio, which it's not. That's amazing that he's charging about $1,000, and it looks like the front of that radio, or the face of the radio, is going to fall out. Like there's some sort of a trim piece that's missing on that thing. Geez, you'd think he'd knock it down at $700 for the missing part.
Well, all I know is he's gotten some very good advertising tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network. So maybe it's a buy it now. Maybe someone will make him an offer, make them an offer. They can't refuse. All right. Any other comments? I get out here and clear frequency. Okay, they're going to fire up the fanfare here.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
I'm going to check the cables. The current and final totals. I got a boom shadow again. Everything is just. Do not add video to radio. It doesn't pay off. The Old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio is glowing in the dark. Thanks to those of you who are staying up extra late tonight here. Maybe you've delved into the Super Bowl snacks to keep you awake. We had 10 radio check-ins, and there was a rally at the beginning of this Super Bowl OTR by the General Radio telephones. It went way out in front. In fact, people started leaving thinking that the game was over. Radio number 1, the General Radio Telephone MC7. A rare one, but we heard it. Radio number 2, that was Paul. Radio number 2, Jerry on the General Radio Telephone MC5, one of our standards. And another one of our standards, radio number 3, Chris on the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. 3-0.
for the general radio telephones. And then a manufacturer that we don't really associate with tube radios jumps in and rolls off 2 in a row. Paul on the Realistic TRC-8D, which we've been talking about for Radio 4, and Radio 5, Paul on his Realistic TRC-X23. And now we have the Realistics in striking distance of the general radio telephones. The Radio 6 was Jerry on the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, and we threw in a Gem Marine G PowerMate, and now we're in the third quarter. And Radio 8 comes in, and it's a Robin T123B from Mike, and then Radio 9 comes in, and it's a Robin T123 with the Magic Eye, also from Mike, and now we have 2 Robins and 2 Realistics and 3 general radio telephones, and the Robins are in striking distance. And at Radio 10, we have the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68. Now we've got a tie with 2 Brownings, 2 Robins, and 2 Realistics. But that first half of the 3 general radio telephones tied things up. I mean, it was the end of the game at the beginning of the game. So the general radio telephone's the most heard radio tonight at 3. The Realistics, who I give the MVP award tonight goes to the Realistic radios for making a great showing. The Robins and the Brownings, of course. SWL-wise, 12 on page 1, 12 on page 2, 15 on page 3, 12 on page 4 for a total of 51. I didn't talk a lot about it, but tonight is still the AM rally for you boat anchor dyed-in-the-wool. It's got to be 80 pounds of radio, or I don't want to run it AM. Might be some people still up and running on 40 meters or 75 meters. Heard some big signals earlier before the net from the K1KW out there in Boston, and some 6 calls and British Columbia stations. So if you SWL, you might tune around to the AM rally. And I don't know if it goes tomorrow night. Probably does. Probably goes all weekend. If you're licensed, they don't care if you have boat anchor radios or not. They care that you get on AM. That's what it's for, to get people to go to that switch that says AM. What is this for? And see if you can make a transmission. So if you're able to do that, give some AM a try. Tomorrow afternoon, they'll probably be on 20 meters. I doubt the band will open up. 10 meters would be great, but give us a couple of years on that. The Old Tube Radio Network, 73, everybody. Thanks to SearchLawrence.com for the Nixie tubes, such that they are, and as long as they may last. And thanks to all of you tuning in from wherever, staying up late, giving us your comments and items of interest. We know a lot of you do similar things to what we do here. We get on the air night, whether it's vintage radios or regular radios or just chatting. Whatever you do, we're glad you do it, and thanks for joining us for what we do here on Central Valley, California, with our tube radio operator collectors. We'll have stay safe tomorrow, and if there's something you want to do and you don't want a big crowd, tomorrow's the time to do it. About, 3 o'clock, 3 to 5 o'clock, when nobody's going anywhere. That's your time to sneak out, and that line you normally stand in, you probably won't be standing in it. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Dennis, and good night.
Extra helping of Ovaltine.
That, I bought some, I know it's blasphemy, I bought some herbal tea. I was thinking I might try some of that, but the Ovaltine does sound good. Okay, I'm going to dump, let's see, I got to dump the video, the audio. Maybe I'll do, you know what, maybe I'll keep the video up. Keep the audio and video up. We'll take 2 minutes and we'll jump around in my bad antenna on 75 and 80 and see if there's any AM stations going on the rally. Hello to Florida tuning in, and who else? Who else is on there? I don't know. So that's what I'll do. It'll take a minute. But good night to 27085 Channel 11. We made our double-digit radios, and good for the general radio telephones. And I'm surprised with the Realistics. Good night, Johnny Defiant, KZS 4949. Well, you have a great call for the Super Bowl, don't you? I was KEO 8492 back in 1970. I think it cost $20. All right, good night, everybody. For those on the audio and the video, we'll do a little bit of SWLing on. See if we can find any big iron AM, and we'll catch you next week.
Yeah.
Oh, was someone calling me as I'm turning knobs over?
Mr. Rood out there with a very late check-in.
Oh, hey, not a problem. I've still got all my paperwork paraphernalia here. We go to page 4. We put an X in the square for Mr. Rood. We update the SWLs to 52. And you know what? I'm still on the air, so let me make it official. Let me do what I'm supposed to do here. And we go to this, and if you're watching, I go to this, and then I click on this thing, and then I go to SWL 31, and I click on this thing, and then I click on, it's not working. Oh, there we go. And I click on this thing, and then I have to click over here to put it on the air, and like that. And there it is. You are checked in. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, now, let me go to the other antenna. And we are, where are we going? Let's try 70, let's try 40. It sounds like a buzzsaw. We're not going to hear anything on 40. That's pretty awful. Nothing on 40. Let's try 75. The West Coast guys. Probably some East Coast. But they're too weak. Well, the band is just not good. 3870.
KF6SYD, the group WJ6W. Well, Steve, I'm just tired listening to you describe what you were doing
WJ6W.
up there at the cabin. And that's a lot of work, and I guess you have to keep after it, or
AM on 75 meters.
I know you said you had to chainsaw your way in the last trip because of
and this is on the Starduster. This is on the Starduster antenna.
For future firewood. So quite a lot of work up there. But I hope you enjoy the stay anyway. And it'd be great when you get to Linger up to Fort Collins.
And I think their station's in Southern California. Nice audio, though. I was hoping that we'd have some better conditions here. That's a terrible noise, isn't it? Of course, you're not going to hear anything on 20.
AM frequency and 14.286, and then somewhere...
So you need that long wire antenna.
30 or somewhere in there.
You need that long wire antenna and probably full legal limit tonight at 300 and something watts carrier. But there you go. The AM rally. Give it a try tomorrow if you can. All right, good night, everybody. Stay safe, and we will catch you next week on the Altitude Radio Network. I think I get out of here before something blows up. Trying to see if somebody picks it up there, I guess. All right. You know, the best thing to do is get on one of those SDR receivers Oh, that's probably what I should do, but that's out of the radio. So try an online SDR receivers, and I bet these guys will sound excellent. Just not good for the local West Coast here with the bad antenna. Good night, everybody. The Old Tube Radio Network.